And we're back. It is Saturday around 3 o'clock, June 20th. We're going to be going into an album from not that long ago today. It's called Radiation Highway. Um, it's full of a lot of really personal shit. So, this is another album that I would have to do myself to the best of my abilities, or if I could work with other people. But I don't think other people would want to sing these songs or develop the melodies or music because it deals with like real personal shit. That being said, I kind of write my lyrics from a subtle, surrealistic, abstract perspective, the abstractness of poetry that even though I don't really enjoy reading poetry that much, the good part of it is that you can be abstract and you don't have to make sense. There's more freedom, and I found this out while writing this book in 2024, in 2022 to 2024. The easier part eventually became the lyrics, even though I had to edit them over and over again. Writing the actual prefaces and making sure everything was in alignment with the grammar and spelling, proper formatting, and whatever else, just to make me seem more intelligent than I am. That's a good way to look at it. I was trying to be like, all right, I got to make these sound like me, these little 2 to 3 page brief summaries of each album that I'm writing about. I have to at least make myself sound somewhat intelligible to put out information like this and make it comical as well. I don't take myself seriously. I talk about all of my past embarrassing moments sexually in terms of professional, if you want to call what I had a professional life. I never really had that, but sort of. I did have a 10, 11 year period when I did make money. That was pretty cool. It wasn't all great though, especially towards the end. But you could say a lot of things about me. I don't really care, but don't make shit up. And don't call me pretentious or full of myself because that's the last thing I would ever pretend to be or try to be. Um, when it comes to writing a book like this, you want to expose every part of you because I kept hearing these other examples of writers saying that shit. You got to bleed on the page. And that's a little bit too dramatic for me. I don't take it that seriously because nothing I've done in my life would really cause that much pain. I've never really done anything that would cause me to feel that much pain. But when I'm writing about my nervous breakdown, my mental breakdown in this album, Radiation Highway, it's still a mystery, some of the shit that happened to me. I'm going to go through these stories, the shit that I had to go through in 2020, and it's still kind of affecting my life, sad to say. But I'm dealing with things differently now. I'm just working out and I'm doing these talks, making new art, new creations, and the people who bring bullshit into my life are nothingness. It doesn't amount to anything. That's how I should have approached it from the beginning. People who put bullshit into your life are sad, miserable people looking for a way to fuck with somebody else. They never ask themselves that question. Why am I doing this to another individual? Why do I think I have the right to do this to somebody else? If this happened to my kids, my grandkids, their kids, somebody else down the street, somebody else that I work with, then I would think it's pretty fucked up. But I said it earlier today, people don't realize the fucked up nature of their own actions and whatever else until it happens to them and happens to somebody else. That's just human nature. That's why every religion kind of builds their foundation on the golden rule that treat others like you want to be treated. It's sad that people still do this shit, but that's just the reality. It's never going to go away because people are petty, people are egomaniacal, people are cunty. And I get into this more in this chapter. This is going to be, I don't think, an angry therapy session, but I'm going to go down some shit that happened to me that was never resolved. To be completely honest, it was never resolved. That's why I still make art and still make stuff like this. I want to focus more on the music and see where that takes me, because I was listening to the MP3 files before I started this, and I'm going to share 3 of the songs from the original recording I made years ago. I started writing this in 2020 when I was still in a haze of confusion, where I didn't know what the fuck was happening. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Do this, do that. Listen to this, don't listen to that. It's all a flu, it's all political. This is the age groups that are going to die. These were all real life memes that I was getting in my workplace and other places. It was a fucked up period that I wouldn't want to relive. My life since then led me to do all this stuff, so that's cool. That's my only guiding principle that makes me feel good. Like, all right, people fuck with me, people mess with my life and took away my ability to make money for no reason, and then they tried to drag my name and reputation through the mud, which the company, I won't name them, but it's pretty obvious. If you know who I am, you know who the company is. And it was never resolved. So that's why I still talk about these things. And even if it was resolved, I already put this in my book. I'm going to write about it. I'm going to talk about it because hopefully other people, I said a little bit yesterday, people that go through these mental breakdowns, and they will know that they're not alone, that other people are going through this shit. You just have to ride with the wave. Some people get violent. Some people turn to drugs. Some people turn to art and trying to get good habits in life. And that's what I did since then. It was an interesting period of my life, especially in late 2019 when everything just got turned to shit in my apartment, at work, and things just got crazier and crazier from then. It's calmed down, but I still don't want to live in the East Coast because of a lot of the shit that happened to me even last year. So I'm trying to get the fuck out. East Coast, whatever. I'm generalizing a whole coast, which is, I know, pretty stupid. And maybe the West Coast sucks. I don't know. I feel like the West Coast has a different perspective on life and how to treat people, and just more laid back. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong about that. I've mentioned this a million times, so I try not to repeat myself too much. The music on this album is pretty fucking, I don't know how to call it. It's kind of like a heavy metal, my version of heavy metal. Not so much in terms of the riffing and the technical artistry. I don't know how to do that stuff, and I'm fine with that. I know my limits. I could maybe learn to solo in my own way in a weird Glenn Branca style if I really study his technique to see how to make different soundscapes. Not so much with finger picking and, or not finger picking, when you see, I don't even know what it's called, when you hammer on, and the Eddie Van Halen shit. That's a lot of people think of heavy metal as Eddie Van Halen and Dream Theater and Slayer and Metallica, and rightfully so. They're the biggest names in the metal history of heavy metal. Maybe Iron Maiden's in there too, and Judas Priest, I guess. Black Sabbath. I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of underground stuff. But that's not my style. You'll see what I'm talking about, because I'm going to go through these songs in a different style to really launch this as more of a musical exploration, because I can talk about my COVID shit, and I've done it already. I could read everything that happened to me, the hallucinations I was having. I almost died by sniffing bleach because I couldn't breathe one night. I thought my air conditioner was blowing poison I thought all these crazy thoughts, man, and there was a reason for it. There are reasons why people have breakdowns like these. Why I never had any kind of a mental breakdown until I reached 40 years old in 2020. I never had any kind of a streak like that where I dealt with anxiety or paranoia until COVID happened. So it was fucked up. It's maybe the main reason to leave is so I don't have to think about this shit anymore. To go to the West Coast and go 3,000 miles to get a different perspective, finally, and get a change of scenery, finally, and to do what I believe I'm supposed to be doing on this planet. But again, it's not just about me. It's about, I don't want to make this a sob story like woe is me. I was fucked up by all these people. I'm the victim. The Tony Robbins philosophy has some merit to it where you say, yeah, you got fucked over by other people, so how do you handle that? And I feel like I've done everything correctly. I was talking to myself last night that the only time I do anything social is to give blood to sick people. I've been doing that since October. I'd skip this week. I'm going to go next week. I donated blood 2 weeks ago. Had kind of a weird experience, but nothing crazy. And then I'm going to go next week and give platelets like I do every 2 weeks now. That's the only time I leave and do anything at this point in my life. I'm not trying to do anything else really besides leaving. Once I leave, then I can make a better plan and adjust to that independent lifestyle. But that begins with getting a job. Every day I'm just going to keep saying West Coast job, until that invocation is answered finally and I could live my life on my own terms and not have to deal with people's bullshit. That's as simple as I can put it. I'm not going to get all detailed about all this shit. If you want to learn about what a paranoid episode is like, then buy my fucking book. How's that? Read all about it, because I was very detailed in the book about each song and how it relates to feelings of anxiety and paranoia and even crazier thoughts than that. Maybe that's a good teaser if anyone really gives a shit. But that's not why I wrote it. I'm being kind of stupid here, of course, because I'm not the only person to ever be put in that situation where I was having these weird thoughts, usually around religious holidays. I mentioned that, what's that German play, Faust, like Faustian episodes, which I talked about before, that I shouldn't even use that term because I don't really know what it is. But I don't know, it's related somehow. Let me just use that cop out and change topics. So, yeah, this was one of the hardest chapters that I wrote in my book because it deals with the COVID shit and from work at home and just weird places along the way. And it led to some good things. I quit smoking in 2019, 2020. It took me about 3, 4 months to really get over it. I went to I'll thank Nicorette gum, even though I got addicted to the Nicorette gum. At least it got me to stop smoking, and then eventually I got rid of the gum and I was good. So yeah, thank you, Nicorette. I'll be grateful for that because I don't think I could have done it without having some other kind of a habit. And I've heard those stories. People go to rehab for alcohol or other heavier drugs, and usually it's cigarettes that help them get through that. So to get off of cigarettes, I was able to use the gum, the nicotine gum. I never tried the patch or anything. So that led me to, once I quit smoking, then I started exercising. I started doing nature hikes by myself every Saturday, then walking 20 miles every Saturday when I didn't have work. And it led to some weird things, some good things and some weird things. Maybe weird things are good in the long run, but whatever it fucking was, I still feel like a lot of shit doesn't get resolved because people aren't honest with me. People are never honest with me. They don't view me as like a person sometimes. They just view me as like, I don't know what they view me as. I don't get the respect that other people get. I feel that all the time. And it's for whatever reason. I can't really explain it. It's not my paranoia at this point. I just know people do that shit. And I think it's cowardly. If you can't be honest with somebody, then don't fuck with that person. I think it's a coward approach when people do that, whether strangers or people I've known my entire life. It's a weird type of a situation like that. I'm not going to try to explain things because I can't. This isn't really intended to be my own personal venting or therapy session, but I know there's people out there that went through the same shit and they're probably angry. Hopefully they got over their shit. Maybe they found some other healthy practices that led them to that. I've read and watched a lot of videos about people changing their life path through music and art, and it was easier for me because I was already doing that when I got fired for no reason in 2021, in the spring of 2021. I just was like, fuck this. I'm going to go all in on the songs I've been writing since I was in high school and the progression I took up until this point. Now I'm 44, and that's how it went. It went by fairly quickly from 2021 till I got evicted last year, about a year ago. Those 4 or 5 years spent in my apartment, never communicating with anybody, just working on my art and my writing and my book and learning different skills along the way. I still had my guitars, I still had my computer. I was able to do a lot more than I'm doing now. I was making videos towards the end, covering songs that had a meaning in my life. And the path I'm on right now, the next step is to go to a different location and actually produce this music the best I can do it. This is an album that I would do myself for the most part. Mixing it, producing it. It doesn't have to sound pristine. It can be a little sloppy, and I'm okay with that. And hopefully, I don't think this is an album I would work on right away. I feel like there's other ones, some of the punk concepts and some of the shoegaze concepts, maybe some of the rap stuff that are more spoken word. And I feel like I could handle those maybe before I handle a bigger, more ambitious project like this, because there might be some horns on this, there might be some other sound effects that I would have to develop before I really dig into this. But today I'm just going to go through the songs. I think there's 8 songs in total. I'm not going to read from my preface. I made that decision last night that the hallucinations I was having, the weird thoughts I was having, people fucking with me, fucking with my head, the times that I almost could have died, the times that I was having really fucked up thoughts about like demonic shit and World War III approaching and all this shit. It's not worth repeating. I probably mentioned in passing some of these stories already. So it's not really worth it. There's one song called When They Storm the Jersey Shore, song number 5. I look at this album like 2-part album, side A and side B, like it is a record, it is a concept. If people read these lyrics, they would never connect it to COVID, but because I wrote this preface before you get to the songs, I did that for every one of these 54 albums. Well, the last 2 albums, I don't think there was many lyrics, but at least 52 of them had a lot of lyrics and poetry, whatever you want to say. People wouldn't realize from the songs, the song titles, and the lyrics that this is a COVID concept, but it could be anything. Whatever was your cause of trauma in your life. It could have been something way more simple than that. But for me, my life was pretty ordinary up until 2019, 2020. I had two jobs. I had money in the bank. I had a retirement plan. I had a car. I had a normal existence. I had an apartment. I didn't know where my future was going, but at least I was able to survive. After 2020, things took a dive, man. Everything got fucked up. All at once, too. Like every part of my life was like the Twilight Zone. And I remember saying that to a neighbor, like during the initial few months where people were like, "Do you wear a mask? What do you do?" People are listening to different doctors giving different recommendations in social media. I had to cut myself off because I was too addicted to it. The NBA got canceled. They have to play in the bubble. All this crazy shit. And I remember saying that, like, this is like living in some Running Man science fiction shit. And that's just what it felt like a lot of the times. And then it got kind of better, and then it got worse as well. I lost my car. Supposedly, this was a story that a police officer told me, was that I got hit by a drunk driver while I was parked on the street. So I lost my car. And that was a weird moment, but I was like, all right, let me take this experience and make it something good. I got whatever insurance money, and I almost had the car paid off. It was like a couple months away. It was really weird, man. And then I started taking public transportation every day. So that was good. I got used to taking the subway into Philly from Jersey, and then taking the bus for an hour to my warehouse that I worked at. It's actually a better experience than driving, and a lot cheaper. I was saving a lot of money like that. So soon after that, though, maybe 3 months later, I got fired for no reason. So it was a bad time, and that's when I just made the decision that fuck this. I've had people in my life behind the scenes, behind my back, doing shit and fucking with my life. And yeah, I do sound angry about it because it's fucked up. I've never done that to anybody. I've never gone behind somebody's back to fuck with a person's life. And I feel like that's why I don't get respect from people, is because people do it to me and they think it's funny, they think it's okay. When I got fired that morning, it was very fucked up. I won't give it too much detail, but they couldn't even do it in person. They had some HR woman tell me through a screen that your services are no longer needed. Get out. And then they tried to get me to sign this paper. And they said, if you sign this paper within 5 days, you're going to get $20,000. So I never signed it. I think I threw it out, or I kept it maybe somewhere. I don't remember. I think I ripped it up. But it was really weird. I still think about those things because it's so obvious that I just got railroaded and it was fucked up. I don't write about that too much in any of these songs because I don't think it happened. When I finished these lyrics or these songs, I think I was still working. But the impetus for writing this album was really losing my job. When I had all that extra time to devote to it, I didn't go the route of drugs and alcohol. I stayed as healthy as I could. I'm trying to get back on that kick, working out every day now, using the broomstick, using a stone, and just walking with those hand squeezers that make your grip more, strengthen your grip. That's all I'm really doing right now, and pretending I'm the Karate Kid. But it's better than doing nothing. So I think if I do this every day, a couple times a day, I think I'll get a better path of where I want to go with my life. So even though I don't live an independent life, I don't have the ability to just go across the country because I don't have the money to do that. I should be getting a job very, very soon because there's no reason I can't get a job. I've been through a lot of shit, and I came out on the other side way stronger, and my bullshit radar is very strong right now. And I should have gotten a job because I'm not trying to get some corporate gig. I'm trying to get a job with no management uh, career path. I'm just trying to get a job so I don't starve to death. And I feel like it'll happen within the next week or so. I keep saying that and saying it, but eventually it's going to happen. So why delay the inevitable? Whatever force is blocking my path is finally going to fuck off. And I knew bringing up some of these things would get me more frustrated, but that's just how it goes, man. When somebody is able to do that behind the scenes and fuck up someone's life, of course you're going to be angry about it. People handle it in way different ways. I think I've been more than patient and more than um, keeping my blood pressure very even keel through my diet and through exercise now and through just saying, I'm in control of my life. I just need someone to help me get me a job and I could start my 20-year plan like I have. Um, this album might not really go down that what I'm talking about right now, my frustrations, but it's all because of what happened to me. If I didn't go through these crazy COVID times, none of these songs would exist. None of these albums would exist. None of my screenplays. Well, I say that, but I don't know what else would have occurred in this timeline if there was no COVID. If COVID never happened in this timeline, what would I have done differently in the last 5 years? Would I just have kept collecting records? Would I have found a different place to live? Would I have devoted myself to exercise and the vegan lifestyle, or would I have changed that? Would I still be eating Wawa burritos? Nothing against them, they're delicious. I'm not going to talk shit about Wawa. Wawa was my main restaurant for like 10 years, so I love Wawa. And they're great food. Maybe well, I was going to say maybe I should work for Wawa, but I don't think they have Wawa on the West Coast, or I would. They probably got something else over there. But I'm weird with food, so I don't want to work with food. Starbucks or a coffee shop, maybe they have some dessert stuff, but you don't have to cook anything or handle food deliveries or, well, not so much that. I don't want to handle food as much as just being a barista, that type of a work, that type of a less demanding in terms of the food service. And I feel like I could do that pretty well. But yeah, I'm not going to talk shit about Wawa, but would I still be eating there all the time? I think it was more just because when I was working, I developed that habit of not bringing a lunch with me, so I would just eat Wawa like at least 3 times a week or more than that. I was still smoking, so that's where I got my cigarettes, that's where I got my gas, and look at that, I can eat there too, so it was one stop for everything. So there's some other songs on here. Song 7 is called Walk in the Park, which I think I wrote this just about the time when I was starting to do stuff like that. There was a park like right across the street from my apartment, and I would go around it maybe 4 or 5 times to do 5 miles and then walk 15 miles. That was my Saturday ritual. Jog 5 miles. Eventually I got there, and then walk 15 miles at a more leisurely rate. So it took me like 6 or 7 hours to get to 20 miles every Saturday. I did it for a good, I don't know, 6 months or so. And then once the winter came, I kind of gave up on it and I never went back. But I get addicted to exercise, so I think that's where I'm at now. I'm going to start doing it as much as I can because I don't have anything else to do besides the art stuff. My life right now is reading, making as much art as I can with the limited resources I have, and just working out now because that'll get some of my energy up in good ways. And it'll take a couple weeks to see if I can really develop a good routine like that. So yeah, this album brings back a lot of memories, some really bad, some redemptive kind of passages in my life. Maybe that's the last song. It's called Making Peace with the Beast. I was having these weird thoughts that I was the Antichrist there. I had this one moment when I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, fuck, dude. I was having these really weird visuals, like almost like a hallucination. Like I was turning into the Antichrist. And I started having weird thoughts in my head about that around 2020 times. It always happened around like religious holidays, like whatever force that is trying to bring you back to the church, because I don't go to church, is like trying to force um, these methods of fear and mania to be like, oh shit, am I going to have like an exorcism? Am I possessed by some demon right now? And I know they're crazy thoughts, but you don't, with everything else that was going on and these thoughts in my head, it was just a mishmash. I never really believed it or anything like that, but these were the thoughts I was having. So I'm like, I might as well write stuff about it. And I wanted to read the Faust because some reason that connected to my experience later on. Years later, I was like, I need to read this, but I never did it yet. It's on the to read list after maybe The Count of Monte Cristo. I could get into Faust if I could deal with that type of language. I think it might be hard to read because it was written, I don't know, a while ago. But since I always say that, that'll be the first thing I Google today. What does a Faustian even mean? A Faustian episode? Is it just a deal with the devil, like the crossroads? Faustian bargain, that's how it's termed. Yeah. A false Faustian bargain is a deal in which an individual trades something of supreme moral or spiritual value, like their soul, integrity, or core values for a worldly or material benefit like wealth, power, fame, or forbidden knowledge. Yeah, that's the more attractive thing to me. Wealth brings problems, power brings problems, fame brings problems, but forbidden knowledge, that could actually give you everything you want to know about everything. So maybe that'll be if the devil comes down to me and says, I'll give you all the knowledge of the universe, I might have to take that deal about immortality and all that shit. That could lead to some crazy thought experiments. The forbidden knowledge is more attractive to somebody like me because I don't want to be rich. The more money you have, the more bullshit will enter your life. The more famous you get, the more bullshit will come into your life. Not that I know these things. I've never been wealthy and I've never been powerful and I've never been famous. But from enough of VH1, what was that show? I forget what it's called now. There was a VH1 behind the music, yeah. And you could, even Peter Frampton had a crazy story, some crazy car accident. And you hear these things all the time. The more powerful and famous you get, the more money you have, the more bullshit and from strange people or from people you know will enter your life. So that's what a Faustian bargain is. I always use that, but I don't really know if I'm using it correctly. I just feel like it's when I was having these weird moments during religious times. Did I write a song called The Star of the Cross? I don't remember. I think it was just one of my hallucinations. But I was having this weird thought that this one star I was looking at around like wintertime, uh, I was like, oh, it's the fucking north or whatever it's called that the wise men followed. It's the some weird astrological thing. I remember looking this shit up on whatever the hell, like weird astrological things. Um, like I was getting to that point where some people do believe in that stuff, the second coming, and they want the second coming to happen so Jesus comes back, or the second coming where the rest of the world will be left behind, but all the Christians will float into heaven and whatever. It's a weird story that I don't really know a lot about. And we were never taught that going to Catholic school. We never really went into the second coming and all that shit. We never read the book of Revelations in high school or grade school, where all that insanely psychedelic, almost like a horror movie exists in that book. But I don't know. I never read it myself, but I have some knowledge of some of the things in there. Maybe I should read it to see how it connects to some of these things. Anyway, I want to get into the music before I just ramble and everyone just turns this off because the music is more interesting to me. Before I get to song one, I did end this chapter with a quote from my own character, Kim Rogers. He's the lead in Elegant Eccentrics from 2021. And the quote is, keep the womb pure, keep the womb clear, keep the womb true. Whatever truth one can discover, at least, in our short time on this swirling rock of madness, or you will be eternally cursed to that morose existence of mental torture and servitude worse than any possible physical torment, until you eventually dream day and night of someone ending this current version of yourself. I thought that kind of connected to what I was going through in 2020 with all these fucked up thoughts that I never had to deal with before entering my life, and then watching the news, going on Twitter. At work, people are telling me all these different things. It was fucked up, man. I don't wish that on anybody, to go through a mentally exhaustive thing. And then I try to do good things by exercising at work, reading at work, and people criticize me for that, trying to say that's the reason that I got let go or whatever, because I was doing that during COVID when there was no work to do anyway. There was a lot of fucked up shit from people I knew for a long time, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I probably did stupid things too, but when people bring bullshit into your life, you don't know how to deal with it. You don't know how to deal with people pushing their paranoia and anxiety onto you. If it happened today, I wouldn't really care. I wouldn't get all anxious. I just ignore it. And originally, that was my game plan. I was going to ignore it, just focus on working out, getting strong, and put everyone else's bullshit aside. But when you work at a warehouse, it's hard to do that. You have to deal with people, or well, you'll still lose your job. I was still doing my job, and I still lost it. So it was fucked up. If you want an idea of kind of the madness of what I was going through, listen to Do the Paranoid Style by Bad Religion from 2019. It's based on a book, an essay by Richard Hofstadter, or Hofstadter, I don't know how to say his name. 1964 essay by Richard Hofstadter, The Paranoid Style in American Politics. It's really good. I think back then when he wrote that, people were like, oh, the Catholic Church, the Vatican's going to take over the government. And then other types, it wasn't just that, there was the Bolsheviks and other forces that went against that American ideal, I guess, of living an individual path of happiness without theocracy or any kind of groupthink like that. It's a good book, an essay. It's pretty quick to get through if I remember it correctly. But it's something I would have to reread at some point to kind of remind myself of some of the other points and what he was trying to get. Because he's writing to an audience of Americans in 1960s, way different than now, but is it really 60 years later? Is it that different? It's almost exactly 60 years later. He wrote this in 1964. Is it really any different? Maybe in some ways, but there's still that divide and conquer, and you better join a political party or you're not going to eat, bitch. There's still that mentality among some people. You better join this religious flock or you're going to starve to death, bitch. That's still a part of a lot of people's code of ethics for some reason, if you can call it that. I said this many times. If your worldview includes the threat of starvation and the threat of not being able to survive unless you join us, well, then you have a faulty worldview. You cannot blame the person for not wanting to join a organization, religious or non-religious, that treats people like pawns like that. That's why people rage against the machine. That's why people have revolutions in other countries, because either their voices don't matter, or really, yeah, that's what it is. Their voices don't matter as an individual or as a group. And I could get deeper into this, but I'm not educated enough to talk about tribal politics and civil strife and all that good stuff. So I'm not going to do that. Let's get to the music before I really talk in circles of nonsense. And the first song is called Radiation Highway. I talked about this before, that if I had an origin story of my life, it would be driving home on I-95 from Philly to New Jersey and feeling like the back of my head was about to explode, like I was about to have a fucking aneurysm. That's kind of what I thought of later. Maybe I was having some weird shit like that. This happened in the winter of 2019, I believe, and driving home from on I-95, passing 5G towers that were fairly new. And I'm like, oh my God, these 5G towers are sending this weird frequency out to kill me. And I remember sitting in the car and being like, fuck this, fuck you, God. I'm not going down. Because I did feel like I was about to pull over, because it was like my brain was on fire. It's a fucked up feeling that occurred a few weeks later on 95 around the same time. I don't know how to explain it. Other people can explain it for me if you know, or have had similar episodes like that. But that's kind of where this concept came from. That's exactly where it came from. I was like, whatever happened on that stretch of I-95 on my way home from work, and it was during the initial stages of it. I forget. Maybe it was 2020, the winter around February. I didn't document shit back then because I still was just going with the flow in this haze of confusion and not really caring about any outcomes or trying to make art. I was just trying to stay sane, which I eventually did. But, you know, that's another thing. Everyone handles situations like that differently. All right, let's continue. This is song number 1, Radiation Highway, and I'm already 45 minutes in. I knew this one would be a weird exploration. I'm sorry if it sounds jumbled and shit, but I got all kinds of shit in my head right now that I'm trying to get out to the best of my abilities. It's kind of a heavy song to lead off this album, like a Kyle Schwarber. It kind of leads off the album with kind of a heavy blast. Very, very high exit velocity, or entrance velocity, if you want to look at it like that. So it packs a punch in this song, which is why I do compare it to heavy metal in some degree. So it's like, breathe in, weekend, watching, in secret, modeled allegiance, seasoned with treason, waiting on the line, dun, 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 dun. Learning how to see again, dun, 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 dun. Feathered serpent's quest, dun, 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 dun. Motive hypertension, dun, 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 dun. There is a riff to this song, and I think this is one that I'll share when I post this on Substack. That's another one I'm thinking of. That's the next song. Hold on one second. Okay, I do remember it. It's almost like it's weird. It's like a classical piece. Like, hold on. I do have to listen to it to refresh my memory real quick. I thought I'd be doing this when I go through these songs because I want to focus more on the music. All right, so it's kind of overly dramatic, but I like it. Dun 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 bum 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 bum. And then you go into the verse like that. I'd have to develop a better transition, but I just wanted to give an idea of some of the elements of this one. It does sound like a classical piece of music. Bum 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 bum. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's like a distorted horn or something. It's an adventure I'd have to go on to create these sections myself. The chorus is kind of spoken word right now. Brain on fire, like torrid showers, roles rewired to tempt the choir, fuck production, exposed defenses, the mind meld immaculate. I'm not sure about the music, but maybe I'll share this file and remind myself of what I'm thinking of. Verse 2, demons, and dun 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 dun. Driven, dun, 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 dun. Freedom, dun, 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 dun. Seeping, dun, 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 dun. Elected, dun, 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 dun. Cognition, dun, 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 dun. Dueling, dun 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 dun, friction, dun dun dun, winner takes it all. Maybe that's a nod to ABBA. Winner takes it all, dun 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 dun, singing to the weeds again. Leaves them wanting more, dun 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 dun. Subversive egomania. It's hard to do this without the music playing. I said that before. I can layer my voice in the music like a shoegaze type of effect, and it's hard for me to just sing without having the music like that. Subversive egomania, and I'm not really putting a lot of passion into this right now, but I think it's a cool way to start this album. That because that's kind of what I was feeling like in that moment when I thought my brain was gonna just explode in my fucking skull. That's what it fucking felt like. So I want to make this a kind of horrifying song to blend in that feeling of these people listening to this can experience the weird trauma that I went through those few times driving home from work. And I do have an outro for this. Burning up on the highway, the mind meld immaculate. Burning up on the highway, the mind meld immaculate. Burning up on the highway, the mind meld immaculate. Burning up on the highway, the mind meld immaculate. It probably would be one of those real hard cuts there to end this and go into the next track. They kind of blend together. Is my thinking is every song would blend together on this. This next one kind of follows that same format of more of a heavier riff that leads the way. Been in a panic for days, gassing the certainty, Cathar's grail recedes to dissipate disease. Nights better spent betrayed in chemical camouflage, currency out of style, worm in the morning feed. Dun, 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 dun. So very easy, almost like a hardcore song. Kind of an easier riff to follow. I'm going to listen to it again. Maybe I'm missing something. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it like that. I was just listening to my old audio files and nothing really caught my ears, anything that I wanted to share in terms of the riffing. A lot of this would have to come later, but it's kind of similar to that first song, the but instead of extending it, you just cut it shorter. Instead of going bum 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 bum, more of a like Indiana Jones banging the fucking timpanis, or is that what they're called? Those big fucking drums. This one is more of a maybe punk inspired hardcore riff. Been in a panic for days, gassing the certain Cathar's grail recedes down to dissipate disease. Nights better spent betrayed, chemical camouflage. Currency out of style, worm in the morning feed. Go right into the next verse. Buried remorse on stage, foraged atrocity, memorize the spark, synchronize the squeeze, writing the minutes absurd, Mad Max fluency, let the right one in, tools of sobriety. The chorus is kind of just loud shouting and more heavy distorted guitars. Indulge, essential, indulge, torrential, indulge, dissociative, indulge, drug emission, Alright, so it gets kind of bipolar here. You would go into some instrumental there. It made me think of the first time I wrote these lyrics and shared them on Substack. I was putting like instrumental break and writing them after each verse, or certain sections where I had an idea for an instrumental, and that's how I was kind of writing each song when I first put these things together. But eventually I'm like, no one's going to want to read instrumental breaks, so I just deleted it. But at this point, you go into some maybe Jane's Addiction type of experience. The way they do their breakdowns. I like Jane's Addiction a lot. I put one of their albums, the one that had like the First Amendment on the cover, because they couldn't show, it was a censored cover, album cover art. It got censored, so they just put the First Amendment on the fucking cover, so that was pretty badass. The outro of this song is a different experience. It's kind of an uplifting response to all the paranoia and mania of the first two songs so far, because I do like that. I was not in darkness. I did bring myself out of that. eventually I was able to do that. And maybe I can't answer all these fucking questions, but I wanted to demonstrate just the, you know, I think it's cool to have some bright passages, even if it's a dark subject matter and it's a dark type of music. You could still have some happier moments of bliss or euphoric moments that kind of split things up. And I think I do that in this outro where it's like, awaken stars, veiled paranoia, abandoned allegories, arrayed at dawn, fallout redeemed, whispers hallucinated, whispers hallucinated. You could carry that more if you want, but I think that would lead to a cool outro of this song because these first two tracks are kind of blending into one another about some things I've talked about already. If I didn't say, this song is called The First Hallucination Gas Attack. Again, you're not going to know that this is about COVID experiences if I didn't explain it as so. It could be about anything because I don't mention my own personal stuff too much. I just kind of, to make it as abstract as I could do it, to make it less personable and more attractive to anyone who had a similar experience. That's what I'm going for. Hopefully I get some feedback at some point that somebody can connect to this. That would be pretty cool if other people had similar responses and shit. I think that would be an interesting conversation to have with people. Let's continue. Before I do, I'm going to listen to this song real quick. I haven't done this, but I guess it's okay to do. I'm just pausing it and I'm going to listen to my old recordings because, sorry, I can't remember everything. My memory is pretty good, but I can't remember every song's melody and riff. It's just, I can't do it. It's too much stuff to remember for like 600 songs or whatever it is. All right, we're back. This is like a 40-minute audio that I have, a long jam for this song. And I think it was inspired by Laurie Spiegel. I think I had it playing in the background as I was jamming on my acoustic. Laurie Spiegel. So I'm guessing that this would be a spoken word type of thing, spoken word poetry. Even I wrote it in terms of how I wrote it in the book as one verse, two verse, and then an outro. There's no chorus, so it would more rely on some instrumentals in between to connect these verses together. So I'm just going to read it like a poem for this one. This is called Suicide Mask. And I think I already told this story, so I don't have to talk about it. When I thought I was suffocating and I couldn't breathe, so I started sniffing and snorting Lysol and bleach up my nose. That was the night where I thought I would probably would have died if I didn't wake up, because I put a mask on my face and I put like a bunch of cleaning liquids like that inside the mask, like I doused it in it, and I put it over my mouth and nose, and I'm like, this will help me sleep. And yeah, it didn't go well. Thankfully I woke up a little bit later, and I don't think I went back to sleep. I was like, fuck this, I'm losing my mind, dude. It was a bad time. This song would be like a spoken word bit, most likely. Beware all anxious stares, grander maps stretch the trap, gaslit tales around the fire of the mad king electrified, to feet by vapors cased, to break bread with Narcissus, more cinematic from the abyss, masking the elegance. Siberian catch and release, fates do not resuscitate, Patsy bleached and charred with lyrical license plates, mortgaged by the riptide, news doomed to higher crimes, suicidal marketing online for the End Times. So most of that is just a jam, whatever acoustic jam that I was trying to come up with. I'd have to go through it because I don't remember what parts hit me the most. So this is something I would have to do at some point. I want to talk about the music, but I can't share every jam session I've done. I think that would be a waste of time to kind of show my shitty jam sessions the first time I was trying to make this song. Or maybe I was just having a jam session and it came to me later that I would use this. I'm not sure in this case, but that's usually how it went. I just picked up my acoustic and played for a couple hours, did that for a week, did that for 2 weeks to a month, and then I'd go back and kind of find things that I still liked, which maybe was 5% of them. And in those 5% of like 50, 60 recordings, I would have to dig into those and find the interesting melodies. So that was my approach at this point too. 90% of the time, that's how I wrote songs. It was never I'm going to write this song right now. This is going to be inspired by this chord progression or this scale. I don't know that stuff. I'm not saying it's bad to know. I just think there's a balance. Maybe I have a different songwriting brain because I never took music theory, and I don't know these different scales of Western music, Eastern music. I just don't know stuff like that. I'd probably pick it up pretty easily if somebody explained it to me, because I have heard of them, and I've tried to kind of get educated on YouTube channels over the years. There is an outro to this song that is one of my favorite melodies that I've ever done on any of my 500 to 600 songs, whatever it is. I haven't counted how many songs I've written after I wrote this book, but it's got to be close to 200 at this point. So I'm probably close to 600 or so songs. When I write my next book, there's 20 more albums with one kind of, I'm not sure what to do with yet. Right now I'm writing an album of new wave music, and I don't have the urge to write lyrics because I feel like I'm blank right now. So what I'm doing is just reading books, random books, and when I find words that are interesting, I just add them and form phrases to the lyrics. So these are going to come out almost like that Decemberist inspired album, where I was reading the Voyage of St. Brendan and cutting out words that I didn't know the meaning of because it's old English. This will be a similar type of experience, this new wave album. And anyway, new wave music is just about the feel and the mood and the melodies. I guess the lyrics are somewhat important, like the Talking Head stuff. But a lot of it is kind of, I don't know, Blondie. I don't know Blondie that well. I think that's considered new wave, or B-52s. I don't know how great their lyrics are. They're bands I never really took the time to study. So I really like this outro. It's one of my favorite melodies, and I repeat it all the time. Sometimes I'll be working out and this will come in my head, like, take it to the window, take it to the dan, 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 dan. Take it to the window, take it to the source. Dan, 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 dan. Take it to the window, take it to the source. And the music is just bum, 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 bum. Take it to the window, take it to the bum, 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 bum. That's kind of how it goes. It's hard for me to reproduce right now, to get real forceful about it. But in a different atmosphere where I could scream at the top of my lungs and have some crazy distortion out in the middle of the desert somewhere, I feel like I could create a pretty cool song there. This would be one of my favorite songs on this album, Suicide Mask. If I didn't have these talks, nobody would know what this shit means, but I feel like I have to have these talks to explain exactly what I'm going for. musically, and the concept of this is my COVID breakdown, the paranoia and anxiety that I dealt with. I handled it by writing this album, by writing other stuff, and that's how I continue to survive to some degree at least. So I really love this outro melody. Take it to the window, take it to the source. Dun, 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 dun. Take it to the window, take it to the source. Bum, 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 bum. Take it to the window, take it to the source. And you just kind of end the song like that. All right, let me take a little break here. All right, before I forget, this is another riff I really like. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I'm gonna have to share this. I can't replicate. I can't replicate how it goes. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. It's almost like some Wild West thing, like you cowboys riding a horse. I don't really know. I'm gonna have to share this one and kind of demonstrate it that way. Demonstrate value. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna share it and cut this up. I just downloaded some program that you can edit your MP3s and cut them into little snippets. So that's what I'll do with this. I'll give credit to that since it's a free app. It's a free app called MP3 Cutter and Ringtone Maker. I just got it today. Yeah, there's plenty of fucking ads and stuff, but whatever. It's free, so it does the job. Some of these riffs are too hard for me to do, like in my Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force style. It doesn't work. So I'll try to, because I really like this riff, I'll play it, and I'll cut it up so you get a better idea of it. I'm just going to read through this one. It's a lot of lyrics, actually. The Second Hallucination is the title of this song. They come at night. Pawned hemorrhage on the rug. Self-immolation's pulse. Shackled in the shading. To avenge the fool's errand. Emotion-starved revivals of delirium immobile. Span of obedient glands through the blaze of contemplation. Radiation unassuming in nights of intervention, subliminal lines and sand of death most incumbent, the mindless regimen in a life vicarious. And that would probably be a repeated line. The mindless regimen in a life vicarious, the mindless regimen in a life vicarious. That's the simple chorus. And I said it before, I'm kind of anti-chorus. I don't like having these long dramatic choruses in a lot of these songs like this. It just doesn't fit the style I'm going for. Verse 3, chilled choreography, Occam's razor sliced back, deciphered evil eye, dying with the impulse. Heritage degrades with time like trauma in remission. And there's an outro where I can't demonstrate the music, so I'm just going to read it. Shadows restored, as seen on TV. Sharpen your stakes, live frame by frame. Photos disjoint like the star of the cross. Lift your head up, blood in the sink. So, like the star of the cross. I had a song with that title because I thought that was a cool title, and then I kind of got rid of it because I didn't like it. So I added it to the ending of this song, at least that phrase, the star of the cross, based on some of the weird thoughts I was having in the winter of 2020, or maybe it was 2021. My time frame is really mixed up when it comes to 2019 to 2021. I didn't document things as well because I didn't know what I was doing back then. I was seriously just trying to stay sane and do and portray myself that I could live in this weird shit and still be a normal person. That's kind of what I was going for. So I didn't know what I was doing. When I started writing this album, yeah, it was completely different than what it eventually became. But eventually, you have to be happy with the finished product. I'm not saying this is the finished product musically, but lyrically, I don't think I could do much more to the lyrics to these songs. All right, I'm gonna go through this one real quick. Hold on one second. All right, this song is called "When They Stormed the Jersey Shore" because I was having these weird dreams, or I don't know if it was a dream or just some weird thought I had of these foreign troops storming the Jersey Shore, like some Normandy invasion. And I was having these weird thoughts about World War III and all this shit with all the other shit going on. I know these thoughts were crazy, but I was like, I didn't know how to deal with it. So I could have done this song as an evolution of the song because it came from all over the place. It's kind of a simple arrangement, but I would say I intended it like that. And I think I'll share this one. Choked by the moonlight, broke from the madness, piled up pity from the noxious invasion, bodies on demand, belief in believing. I'm messing up the melodies, but it's something like that. Turn off the secrets, like the promise of exile. Patriot scream, sulking with vampires, can fill an afternoon, breathing for another. And it's hard to do this without the music. Again, it doesn't really get the effect of what I'm going for. There's a big Beatles influence on this during the instrumental parts. It kind of came from Across the Universe, and I think one of the chords reminds me of that. I don't know the name of it, but that's one of the coolest songs to play, Across the Universe. I think a lot of people have covered that over the years. When Beatles get psychedelic and spacey, it's hard to top. It's weird. Their evolution as a band from I Want to Hold Your Hand to Across the Universe and some of the Indian inspired raga songs, Lucy in the Sky, and it's kind of interesting to see their progression because I rarely ever get the urge to listen to early Beatles stuff. It's not bad, but I never get the urge to really explore it. But I'm going to share this audio file to give you a better idea of what I mean. There's a chord in Across the Universe. Maybe it's some kind of an A chord, but in a weird shape. And I think I used that when I did my chorus, so it was a big influence from that song. All right, let's keep going. How many songs left? 3 songs, I think. Yeah, so this isn't bad. I think I got through this fairly easily so far. Hopefully people can follow along and it's not absolutely mad to listen to me right now. This is the third hallucination, Demon Wings. This song was the only one that I did not write during this period. This song was from a different album. I had a song or an album called World Wars, and I didn't like it, so I just saved it and did nothing. Well, I don't do anything with any of my shit, but that one I kind of gave up on. Back when I had iTunes, I would like form my albums on there, like this is the flow of my album on iTunes or B Music, and I would arrange things like that just to get an idea of how the track to track transitions go. And for World Wars, I just got rid of it. But there was one song that I had to come back to. It was called, I forget what I called it, but I changed the title to The Third Hallucination, Demon Wings. And I forget what I called it when it was on World Wars, but it's like, the Emperor's new clothes, walking naked in the snow. the penitent soldier, only following orders. So this could be a heavy metal song. It was kind of dealing with that, Metallica 1 type of thing about just the horrific nature of going to war. In World War One, I think that's what they talked about. The one guy who just wanted to die within his body. That video was like very powerful as a kid. Metallica 1. So I think that was some of the inspiration for why I wanted to write songs like that. Sanity accrued, scavenged appetites, the mirror disloyal, stalking the soil. Jin, 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 jin. I can't really mimic. I forget how this goes, to be honest. But I think the chorus is just screaming like, face to face, da dun dun dun, growing wings, da dun 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 dun, always there, dun 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 dun, just not as it seemed, da dun, face to face, dun dun dun, growing wings, dun dun dun, always there, dun dun, just not as it seemed. And I would be surprised if I actually sing it like this, but that might be cool. I don't feel like reading some of these as spoken word because I know there's a melody to this, but I don't really know what it's going to turn into yet. But that has an interesting appeal. I don't know what that reminds me of. I don't know. Maybe like a Deftones type of epic chorus like that. Deftones stuff. It's weird. I never thought of Deftones as shoegaze. I always thought Deftones as a heavier, like new metal band, but they do have that shoegaze element. The blending of distortion, I really like that. All right, there's the last verse to this. Quarantine the flight, masses to indict, memory circle, calling the search off. Face to face, growing wings, always there, just not as it seemed. Face to face, growing wings, always there, just not as it seemed. Yeah, you can get funky with it. Make it more spoken word as you go through it. Maybe it's more just a punk song, almost like a hardcore punk song, but I don't know if it's going to end up like this until I actually try to make the music. I can listen and get inspired by what I came up with already, and that's the next part of this journey, is to actually make the music to accompany everything I've done to this point. That's the next chapter I'm trying to get to. And I see this as a very heavy guitar. I'd have to come up with a different tone, a darker type of distortion for this. I'm not sure yet about any of that stuff, how to produce different types of distortion sounds. I'm still learning, or to be honest, I'm completely naked. The emperor's new clothes, walking naked in the snow. The penitent soldier. I'm naked in terms of production. To do this myself, I feel like I could perform it and learn the music and perform it pretty well. To put it together as an album, to sound really good, to make it pleasing to people's ears. I don't care. You can say Boston is cheesy, but it sounds so damn good. Or Coheed and Cambria, whoever produces them. The Receiving End of Sirens. Even bands like Bad Religion and Rancid, NoFX, they just know how to produce that type of music. If I'm going a little bit darker with some of these songs, maybe I have to get more in touch with the Swans type of appeal. Swans. I have to get more in touch with that type of thing. No wave, because there's a darkness to no wave that I really, really admire. Maybe it's just because it's such a raw type of experience. All right. There's two more songs. This one is the longest. This could be like a 10-minute jam, walk in the park. And it is like a stream of consciousness poem. Again, I don't want to share, I can't reproduce the music for this, but it's very laid back, mellow. It might be the one acoustic song that, even though it's kind of a cliche thing, you start out acoustic and then you build it and build it and build it, and then eventually it becomes just this wall of sound. Radiohead does it too. Right before I started looking into this today, I was on Instagram again, and there was a kid playing Fake Plastic Trees, the guitar part. He was playing the song, but he was playing the really cool Johnny Greenwood, I guess, his breakdown, and it's so good, man. I never realized how good of a guitar part that is on electric guitar. The distortion and the way he builds it, the energy of it is brilliant. So yeah, it's cliche to do that, but that's what I'm going for. Maybe the Foo Fighters did that with the "Is Someone Getting the Best of You" song. I think it starts out kind of a lower energy. Um, I got another confession to make, and then it just gets very, very epic. That's a great song, man. Maybe their best. It's hard to say what's the best Foo Fighters song, but that song it still kicks ass to this day. And on their newer album, they had like a 10-minute song that was really good. It reminded me of some of the no wave stuff. I think maybe I don't know if I could look this up right now. It was an album I only listened to once, but I remember that song really hit me because it was different than anything I've heard before. But I think my favorite Foo Fighters song is that. Is Someone Getting the Best of You? What's that song called? I don't even know. I got another confession to make. Alright, can I find this? What was the last one they did? It's not Sonic Highways. But Here We Are. Yeah. There's a song on there. What's it called? Let's find out. Wikipedia. I'm supposed to donate money, $2.75. Yeah, it's called Beyond, or The Teacher? Yeah, The Teacher. Go check that song out. Maybe I'll share that. The Teacher by the Foo Fighters. It builds and builds, and it kind of, you get lost in it like a no wave song, like Swans. It's really good. So I'm just going to recite this as a long spoken word poem, but do realize that there would be a lot of instrumental sections to this song, instrumental parts that build and build as it goes from verse to verse. Highway scars, the give and take, digits numb, the hint of taste, hostile redress, deflected, deranged, fresh campaign slogan for the exit ahead. Highway sainthood, banging my head, only the radio knows as the dashboard melts. Enemies line, features flicker, just planet Earth and branded containment. Time for a walk in the park. That's where you can start getting heavy. That's like the chorus. Time for a walk in the park. Dun, dun. I won't try. I always kind of do the same thing when I when I try to mimic distortion. Dun dun dun. It's kind of stupid. All right, let's read the rest of this. Verse 3. Highway bleeds, more blame than imagined, where the wreckage ends. Repeat as instructed. These legs reversed with stolen lungs, managed leaks and panicked palms. Highway rots, locks down breath. Nostalgia fled, last cigarette. Clotted spells the parasite brave. Replays the scene and rusts in dreams. Time for a walk in the park. Time for a walk in the park. And while you're doing that in the outro, you could say an overlapping spoken word, or maybe it's a screaming, highway burns, highway bleeds, highway birthed, highway clots. and you could kind of go in that direction. This might be my favorite in terms of the lyrics because it is very stream of consciousness. There's no way somebody would read this and think it's about COVID or thinking you're going to die from an aneurysm or some shit like that. Whatever the fuck, no one's going to think that. It's just a walk in the park. Oh, this is a lovely poem. Is this like that Chicago song? Doesn't Chicago have a song like that? Saturday in the park. It must have been the 4th of July. That's a good song. I'm making fun of it, but because it's a complete polar opposite of a song like this. But that's a brilliant song. You want to hear a happy song, listen to Chicago. Chicago, Saturday in the Park. Maybe that's what it's called. Yeah. From 1972, Saturday in the Park. I think it was the 4th of July. People talking, people laughing, a man selling ice cream, singing Italian songs. Hey, compari, CEO signori. I guess that's Italian. Can you dig it? And I've been waiting such a long time for Saturday. Another day in the park, it looks just like the 4th of July. This is like the happiest song of all time. People reaching, really touching, a real celebration waiting for us all. I'm not trying to make fun of this. I've rocked out to this song in the car if it comes on the radio. Or Saturday in the Park, or 25 or 624. Yeah, that's a brilliant song. Sitting cross-legged on the floor, 25 or 624. Like the way they do their harmonies is pretty unique, I think. I'm going on a tangent here, but I just wanted to show the disparity. Somebody would see this song title, Walk in the Park, and they're going to be like, oh, this is such a happy song. And then they get into it, banging my head, only the radio knows as a dashboard melts, enemies line. I don't like where this song's going. I think it's kind of dark, man. Highway bleeds, more blame than imagined, where the wreckage ends. These legs reversed with stolen lungs and panicked palms. Highway rots, clotted spells. What is this guy talking about? This could be a pretentious look at my experience, I guess. I don't think it's overly pretentious, but I'm just trying to go for the beat poetry type of thing on here. Maybe I forced it a little bit too much. Like every line had to lead with something. Highway scars, highway sainthood, highway bleeds, highway rots. But I think it's decent. It's hard for me to judge it, like to say this is really good or not. Highway rots, locks down breath, nostalgia fled, last cigarette, clouded spells, the parasite brave, replays the scene, and rust in dreams. I don't know. I can't judge my own poetic stuff. Again, I'm more concerned with the music. The message is also cool, and maybe I would have a lot of people do that now, or they write about suicide, or if they write about dark subject matters, they warn people, and then they give people like if you're experiencing thoughts like this, then they give numbers or websites that you could go to get help. Maybe this would be an album that I could dedicate to that, to other people going through dark shit like that. To not make this about me, even though I'm talking about my shit, but it might make other people feel better when they're going through their dark shit, that they can get over it and find different outlets to deal with that shit. It doesn't have to be the same old story of Sid and Nancy. I just think they didn't really care. That's a different thing. They were just like nihilists. Live fast, die young. That's a different approach than an album like this that's about feeling like other people are dictating your script in life. I guess you could go that approach, just go all out nihilist, like Repo Man. But I just don't have that. I didn't turn to that dark side. The darkest I got was just writing these things and telling my story. because it's all the truth that I was trying to figure out. And I'm still trying to make peace with the beast. um, Maybe the beast is me. Maybe the beast is other people. Maybe the beast is COVID in general. Making peace with the beast. Maybe it's that 2 years of my life. That's probably more relevant. Making peace with the beast. It means making peace with your past, making peace with your trauma, and just growing and turning that shit into sunshine. Yeah, it's not that easy to do. I'm there mentally. I'm just not in the right environment to do the rest of this project. I would love to um, dedicate this album to people struggling with anxiety, paranoia, other mental issues like that. This would be the album to do it because I'm honest about my shit. I'm not ashamed of anything I did or did to myself. I'm not ashamed of any thoughts I had because that's what I went through. I'm not ashamed of it. It's a part of my being as an artist, just as a person. I think everyone kind of goes through streaks like that. Some people, it happens when they're teenagers. It happened to me when I was 40 in 2020. So that's really what this song is getting at, making peace with the past. I guess I'll just read these lyrics. Again, I would love to share the music that I have in mind, but I don't think people would listen to it anyway. I'm going to share maybe 3 or 4 short clips, maybe 4 or 5 minutes, like I did yesterday, just so you see the process that how I create a song. I think that could be interesting, and people could just skip it if they want. They don't have to listen to it. So reading these lyrics might be just a better way to do stuff like this, and it's still in my mind. I got like almost like a to-do list on my email. I email myself, and one of them is to make my audiobook. It's still something I intend to do at some point. It's just not going to happen right now. I'm not in the right space to do something like that because it's going to take me like 3 months or longer to really get a good quality recording of every chapter. It could take months and months to do because this is a long book. It's 1,000 pages with 54 chapters and a pretty long epilogue or whatever you call it, the afterword. And I have to recite like 400 songs of poetry and find a way to do it that people would actually want to listen to. That's going to take me a long time. And if I'm able to do it without other people's bullshit, I would have a better chance at least. That's what I'm saying. You don't get what a rigged system really looks like until it happens to you. What it looks like when other people put their bullshit on you. You don't know what that really means until it actually happens to you as an individual. All right, let's get through this last track. Making peace with the beast. Making peace with the beast. Heaven spread the casual pretense. Self-fulfillment praised above your head. Overburdened, overzealous by frequency of doubled speech. Making peace with the let them write through you. Making peace with let them write for you. Making peace with breathing most valued. Making peace with when they write in you. That's kind of the chorus. I don't know if you would have to have 2 different voices there or overlap those things. I'm not sure yet. Verse 2. Safe at work for the cynical collapse. Safe at home with the comfort of subtext. The algorithm missed the marking, like an industry stripped to consume. This is the outro section, but again, I'm reading this like a poem, but of course you're going to have music breaks and little transitions from each section that I can't demonstrate right now. The outro, lead the witness, not hard to sell, towards the sickness, the fear of why, avoid the thinning, the fear of death, to fatten visions, the fear of fire, and hallucinations, the fear of life, of the willing, the fear of time, vows of silence, the fear of lies, speaks the loudest, the fear of other. And this goes into what I would try to make an epic ending of this album, a conclusion. This could be a 40-minute album, it could be 60 minutes, I'm not sure yet. I'm sure I'm going to be bloated with these guitar parts that I want to continue for like 20 minutes like a swan song, but I'm going to hold back on that. I don't think I could try to write a swan song and make it as effective, so maybe the Walking the Park is my tribute to swans. That could be a 10-minute song. This is how it ends though. Making peace with dun 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 dun. Take it to the window, take it to the source. Like I told you, I really like that melody, so I wanted to bring it back at the end to end this as an overlapping thing. Making peace with dun 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 dun. Take it to the window, take it to the source. Dun 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 dun. That's kind of where I'm going with that because I really like that part. It's got like a Rage Against the Machine appeal or some kind of rap thing, making peace with the dun 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 dun. Take it to the window, take it to the source. Dun 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 dun. Take it to the window, take it to the source. Bum 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 bum. Making peace with it. Dun. So yeah, there's a lot of potential there to get kind of crazy with it. I'm not sure if I picked this song to share the music or not. But again, there's only so much I can do when I do these talks. I just want people to somewhat see what I'm going for and gain some interest in what I'm trying to do. My life right now does not allow me to go full board, to go all in and just go fucking crazy with it. I can't do that right now. Hopefully in a couple weeks, in a month, I'll be set up and I'll be able to start this process. I'm going to have to do it by working at a Starbucks or working in other places. And in between that responsibility, I'm going to have to devise a way to get this plan done. It's not going to be easy in this direction, but fuck it. If it's not going to be easy, I'll go back to that movie with Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley when she wants to record an album and he's like, fuck this whole commercial enterprise, let's just go record it on the street. So they record every song like in some, I don't know what city they're in, maybe New York. They record every song like in some weird alley with other people. I don't know, just go watch the movie. It's a memorable type of experience though. So if I got to find a different way to do this, find a way to plug in all these instruments and record things outside where I don't bother people. I don't know yet where it's really going to lead to, but it's going to lead somewhere. Eventually, it's going to be more streamlined, and I'll have a foundation to build on. So that's what I'm looking for when I make these album discussions. And this one is different. I wanted to get this one out of the way because I don't really like talking about this shit too much. It makes me seem like a victim, even though I was victimized by people. I don't want to keep harking on that and trying to seem like I want sympathy from people. It's not sympathy, it's closure, it's resolutions, it's honesty and respect. And those are things that I try to give to people. And I don't go behind people's backs and try to fuck with someone's life physically, mentally, or financially. It's something I don't do because I'm a non-confrontational person. And why do you want to live your life like that? It's pretty basic human decency. But again, this would be my album of trying to help people going through shit like this. Fat Mike and NoFX, they wanted to do, I don't know if they actually did it, they wrote a play about like abandoned youth and runaways and stuff like that. More of a teenage punk variety, how they deal with that shit and stick together. I don't know if he actually performed it. I was interested in it. This is a long time ago. This is my way of kind of doing the same thing, I guess, to show people that you can get over this shit without drugs and alcohol or any other bullshit. Just have that strength inside of you as an individual person, and eventually evolution will lead to a better humanity, because it usually does. You might have some setbacks over the generations, but eventually I think it gets to that level of human decency where you don't care anymore about trying to manipulate somebody's fucking life. That's like the worst thing you could possibly do. Whatever your intentions are, it's beyond fucked up to try to manipulate somebody's life, especially when it's not to their face. Manipulations means you're going behind the scenes trying to fuck somebody up, trying to build a script that the person doesn't even know what you're fucking doing. My bullshit radar is very strong today, but it wasn't in 2020. I never went through shit like that. Nobody went through a pandemic, but I was having all these other issues at work, in my apartment, and other places throughout those 2 years where it was a lot of manipulations and people playing games with me. And it's something that people did so flippantly that I guess they're just used to it. I don't know how to live like that because it's not a part of efficiency. It doesn't get you anywhere. It just wastes your time. It's a complete waste of life, complete waste of energy to treat people like that. So it's not something I would ever do to somebody. I think it is a form of regression. Maybe those people's parents did it to them, somebody else did it to them, and they feel like they have to continue this curse of fucking up people's lives like that. It's fucked up. There's really no justification you can give for doing something like that. Again, these issues would be here whether this was a resolved thing or not, because I did write this and I included it in my book. Very detailed. Every song is broken down to exactly the experience I was going through. I don't want to do that right now because I gave you a brief synopsis, a general, maybe because I want people to read and buy my book, of course, but to make this less about me and more that I know this happens to other people, and you have to find some outlet. It doesn't have to be art or songwriting. It could be anything. Instead of turning towards drugs and alcohol. That's a good message. It's not an after-school special, but nobody wants their kids to become some junkie. That's how I'll end this. Because I just said that, it reminded me of Against Me. Years ago, I tried to sing this song, and it's one of the hardest songs. Against Me, what's that song called? I can't think of it right now. Against Me songs. Let's see if that sparks my memory. Yeah, Thrash Unreal. One of the best rock songs ever. Thrash Unreal. Let me read those lyrics to close this out. I'm just about 2 hours, and I think I did enough here. I wasn't sure if I was even going to do this today, but I woke up early and I did my exercises, and I was like, all right, let me do this for 2 hours. So it's something productive on a Saturday. Not that it matters, but sometimes I just get too lazy to do these back-to-back days. Eventually, I do want to talk about every album, have more evolution of song ideas or episodes, and I thought about starting that series of I'm a lyric guy. It would be called something like that. If I would make a real podcast where I didn't curse and it was more commercial, more corporate branded. I thought of some ideas yesterday. Maybe I'll share those real quick. Because I was going to try to do a demo of that, like a pilot episode. idea for podcast. So this is just picking five songs each episode. Maybe it'll be 30, 40 minutes, and read through the lyrics of these songs. They can be popular, they can be underground, and just talking about it, analyzing them, and trying to discuss it. I have to do some research. I don't just have this stream of consciousness going. If I'm reading somebody else's lyrics, I feel like I have the responsibility to do some research beforehand to kind of see what they're going for. And ideally, I think that would be cool, because people don't look at musicians as poets, but most of them would be considered poets. If you're writing lyrics and songs, you're a poet to some degree. Again, it's all semantics, but from a marketing angle, I think this will be kind of cool. To eventually you could interview people and they could discuss their lyrics and how they write stuff. It's similar to Behind the Music, or that Bruce Springsteen I talked about. He had a play where he was talking about the stories behind his songs and how he writes stuff. Lyric writing is a weird type of art form, which I don't even like doing it. Eventually it is satisfying when you could put a puzzle together, like I'm working on right now with this new wave album that I don't even want to work on, but I'm doing it slowly because I got nothing to write about right now. I'm just trying to read and get some new ideas to spark something different, to spark something out of the ordinary for myself. And I don't know how deeper I can go, which is why there's an urgency right now in my life to just get on a bus and go to the Southwest, because I need to start actually making the music instead of just writing new stuff that I'm not very passionate about. At least at the moment I'm not, but maybe it'll turn into something later. So I had ideas for episodes for this podcast. I would call it like Lyric Guy, or What's in a Lyric, or I don't know. I think of a funny, more attractive name to bring in an audience. So you could do like redhead female singer-songwriters, punk rock poetry, Scottish bands, 2000 indie, Bob Dylan series. You could have multiple episodes going through like five Bob Dylan songs, the different eras of his life, the 60s, 70s, 80s Christian stuff. Later on in the 2020 he had an album. You could go into 60s psychedelic lyrics, classic rock from the 70s lyrics, hair metal lyrics. Those would be funny to read through, like poetry. Krautrock translations. You go through German Krautrock, is I think some of it might be in German or other languages, so you could translate it and try to make sense of it. You can make it, this isn't supposed to be that serious. You could kind of make it like a Saturday Night Live type of podcast, making fun of the whole thing. But sometimes you could, if you could get guest people on there, guest musicians and songwriters, or you get real people who consider themselves poets and nothing else, they don't make music, get different interpretations of what that world is like. I put sad boy music. Sad boy music, I don't really know. I guess that's emo, The Cure and stuff like that. And then storytelling, like folk music, Woody Guthrie, Lucinda Williams, Emmylou Harris, John Fogerty, Tom Petty, Bruce Springsteen, people who write stories, actual stories with characters, Highway Patrolman and shit like that. So that's the idea. I might try to do that at some point over the next few weeks. But I can't really make any plans until I move and get to the West Coast. That's when I can start getting more dedicated to whatever I'm going to be doing. What was I going to do? I'm going to end this now. I'm almost at 2 hours. I don't think I have much else to talk about. But again, I keep saying that again, Thrash Unreal lyrics. I'm going to end this with Thrash Unreal by Against Me, a song from 2007. It came in my mind because I was talking about that. Nobody wants to see their kid become a junkie. And that's a song, in this song, that's a line on here. This one of the best rock songs ever in general. Whether a lot of Against Me fans didn't like it because it wasn't raw, authentic, anarcho-punk, whatever it's called. But it's a great song, man. Try to sing this song. It's really difficult. No mother ever dreams that her daughter is going to grow up to be a junkie. That's a line in this song. I think there's a Springsteen connection too. I read this book called Trans or Tranny. I forget what it's called. I know that's not politically correct, but that was the name of the book. I think it was called Tranny. I think, yeah, Tranny, Confessions of a Punk Rock's Most Infamous Anarchist Sellout. It's a really good book. Read it a couple years ago when I was reading Bad Religion and NoFX, the Hepatitis Bathtub, and then I read this one. And it was pretty interesting. It's not just about the sexual transformation. It's a lot about punk rock stuff. So it's worth checking out. I'm going to go through these lyrics to end this. But I think it was a good day to go through this album and see how far removed I am from it. The events that led to the writing of this album is 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago. But it stayed with me for a long time because people have a corporate response nowadays where they do something wrong, they never admit they're wrong, and they double down on their bullshit. I have a line in one of my rap songs, never double down on toilet paper, something like that. I think that's what I was trying to mean. Like, some people, when they do something wrong, instead of admitting they're wrong and making rightful steps to make amends for it, they double down on their bullshit and just continue it. It's a sickness, it's narcissism, it's an arrogance to an insane level of psychopathy. Is that how you say that? It is a psychopathic response. Instead of just going the easy way and saying you're wrong and that you shouldn't do that to people and apologizing, a lot of people go the other direction and victimize the victim. They go all in on the bullshit to a degree that's insane, and they just double down until they're broke in terms of being a broken person. So I don't think I'm angry at this point of the events that happened to me, but I feel like a lot of it's unresolved and it continues today because I'm trying to live my life in a different motto. I'm not live fast, die young. I'm 44. I want to live for another 20 years and make all this shit within that time frame. I can't do this any other way. And I'm confident in myself now at this point in my life that I could do this. So I just need to find other people who want to do this with me without the bullshit that's infected my life. Maybe that's another song that I should go through the lyrics of that song, Infected by Bad Religion. Well, because I'm fine doing this. I don't know if people are interested in me reading lyrics like this, but I'm fine doing this because it's something I might want to pursue in a real podcast. Infected from Stranger Than Fiction. Let's go through it because it's been a while since I read these lyrics, or if I ever did. All right, let's go through this one first, and then we'll end with Thrash Unreal. This is from Bad Religion, Stranger Than Fiction, 1994, a song called Infected. It might have been a single off that album. Now here I go, Hope I don't break down. I won't take anything. I don't need anything. Don't want to exist. I can't persist. Please stop before I do it again. Just talk about nothing. Let's talk about nothing. Let's talk about no one. Please talk about no one, someone, anyone. You and me have a disease. You affect me. You infect me. I'm afflicted. You're addicted. You and me. You and me. I'm on the edge. Get against the wall. I'm so distracted. I love to strike you. Here's my confession. You learned your lesson. Stop me before I do it again. Just talk about nothing. Let's talk about nothing. Let's talk about no one. Please talk about no one, someone, anyone. You and me have a disease. You affect me. You infect me. I'm afflicted. You're addicted. You and me. You and me. You're clear as a heavy lead curtain. Want to drill you like an ocean. We can work it out. I've been running out. Now I'm running out. Don't be mad about it, baby. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is about any relationship he was having. I'm not sure. I think he did get divorced. You and me have a disease. I want to untie you, crucify you. You affect me. You infect me. Kneel before you, revile your body. This is like saves the day. Like, man, it's pretty. I don't know what this song's about. This wasn't what I expected it to be. I thought it was about more political stuff. It sounds like it's just a song about a bad relationship ending. Yeah, it's according to Wikipedia. So again, I'm not speaking for Greg Graffin here. This one was written by Brett Gurewitz. Sorry. Bad Religion's Infected is an unconventional love song. Instead of romance, it explores the pain and toxicity of an unhealthy relationship by comparing being deeply in love to a contagious disease. So apologies, this isn't Greg Graffin, it's Brett Gurewitz. I don't give him the credit that he probably deserves for a lot of Bad Religion stuff. The lyrics blur the line between passion and cruelty with striking imagery like I want to tie you, crucify you, take you, break you. Alright, like, if I was having this podcast episode, I don't know how to continue this conversation. You read a song and then you just kind of have to wax poetic and try to put the pieces together without just consulting Google AI every 5 minutes. Google, what does this mean? Google, help me make this podcast. So I don't know, maybe the only way to do a podcast is to have guests and to have other co-hosts maybe talk about experiences with a song. I can pick 5 songs that are meaningful to me. Gillian Welch, The Revelator, Neutral Milk Hotel, Holland, whatever that song's called. 1940 something, Holland. Those would be some of the songs that I picked. Or Oh Comely, yeah, Holland 1945 by Neutral Milk Hotel, or Dumb by Nirvana. I love those lyrics. All Apologies by Nirvana. I love those lyrics. I guess you would have to make it more personal. You bring in other musicians and they can list their 5 favorite songs in terms of lyrics. Maybe that's how the show would go, to get people interested in it, and then the musician could talk about why these songs are important to them, how it shaped their own songwriting. Give a tribute to not just the music, but the lyrics to these songs. It's kind of been done already. Simpsons did it. But most of the things I listen to are more about the music, not so much about why are these songs important to you because of the lyrics. So that is a possible way to approach a podcast like that. All right, let me do what I was originally going to do before I talk for another hour. All right, this is Thrash Unreal by Against Me from New Wave from 2007. And I'm just going to read this and close this episode like that. I didn't get into the details of these dark moments of my life because I don't feel like doing it again. I've written about it, I've spoken about it, I've kind of let it all out there, and I've written a lot of stuff in terms of screenplays. And when I was spitting blood into my toilet, I made art out of that as an example. In one of my art books, I had a project called Blood and Guts because I turned that into art. I won't go into the details, but I woke up one morning and I was spitting blood all over my bathroom floor and my toilet. So I took pictures of it. Or actually, no, it wasn't that time. It happened again a couple years later. I was spitting blood into the toilet. So I took pictures of this disgusting shit, this bloody shit, bloody mucus. Sorry, man. I have to be graphic about it, but it's actually good I said that. I took pictures of it, and then I formed those pictures into black and white abstract creations. I think some of them came out pretty good, some cooler than others, more detailed. Originally, I was going to have these color, but I thought it was too disturbing. Like, I was going to have them really graphic, showing the blood. Everything was going to be bright red or orange because it was called Blood and Guts. But I edited myself at that point because I'm like, this could disturb people. I don't want to gross people out. I was going to share the actual photo that formed all these 12 pictures, but I didn't do it. I thought Substack wouldn't appreciate that if I showed a picture of my blood in a toilet. They would probably frown upon that because that could be pretty disturbing to some people. So I do have an edit button to some degree. But why I don't want to keep rehashing this stuff. I've moved on, but I need to be able to move on. It's nothing I'm doing to prevent this. It's like all I'm trying to do is get a job, a simple, honest job where I can make money so I don't starve to death and move to the West Coast and do this project. I think that's a pretty noble thing that somebody would want to do with their lives. And I feel like I'm getting a lot of pushback from this invisible force where all I'm trying to do is build a legacy before I die. Some people do that with family and kids. Some people do that with painting. Some people do that with writing, or both. You could do both. It's not one or the other. But right now I'm 44. I need to get started on this. I have all the songs ready to go pretty much. That's why I'm saying I could poop out these albums in like a month. If I have to work at another job to support myself, then whatever, maybe I'll take a little longer, but I'm not going to be like, I can only record one album a year. I want to be like one album a month. So that's what I could do, 12 albums a year, 24, 36, 48. It could possibly take me 5 years. But again, I wanted to make it sound professional, so it's probably not going to be exactly to that time frame. And I'm not sure if I can even hold up to that. It might take 2-3 months for some of these. This one is like a very special album to me, Radiation Highway. I want to get it out and make it sound really good and make it flow song to song like it is a concept, because it is a concept. It's a personal concept, different than some of the other ones that deal with just going tribal. Was not about my own personal experiences with tribalism or nationalism. This might be the only one that's very, very personal that led me to create an album like this. But again, yeah, people will take what they want. That's a cool part of art too. And people don't know that this is about my COVID experiences, but they'll know because I'm speaking about it. But they could take the songs and the lyrics and the music, and they can appreciate it and connect it to their own triumphs and failures in life. So music is a healing force. I'm not just saying that. I do believe that. I don't think I'd be around if I didn't find this outlet throughout my life. Not just saying that to be like, I don't know, corny or come off sounding like pretentious about it, but there is a power in it. I don't think I'm the first one to say that. If you could use music as your drug, then more power to you. It's better than going down other chemical realms that could really fuck you up and fuck up other people. So I'll leave off there, and this will lead right into this song that I'll read right now. Thrash Unreal by Against Me. I like ending these talks with a song lyric, so it'll be this one today. Thank you for listening to this madness for 2 hours. If she wants to dance and drink all night, well, there's no one that can stop her. She's going till the house lights come up. On her stomach spills onto the floor. Or her stomach spills onto the floor. This night is gonna end when we're damn well ready for it to be over. Worked all week long, now the music is playing on our time. Yeah, we do what we do to get by, and then we need a release. You're getting mixed up with the wrong guys. You're getting messed up on the wrong drugs. Sometimes the party takes you places that you didn't really plan on going. When people see the track marks on her arms, she knows what they're thinking. She keeps on working for that minimum, as if a high school education gave you any other options, you know. They don't know nothing about redemption. They don't know nothing about recovery. Some people just aren't the type for marriage and family. No mother ever dreams that her daughter is going to grow up to be a junkie. No mother ever dreams that her daughter is going to grow up to sleep alone. No mother ever dreams that her daughter is going to grow up to be a junkie. It's weird saying these because I want to sing it like, no mother ever dreams that her daughter is going to grow up to sleep alone. She's out of step with the style. She don't know where the action's happening. You know, the downtown club scene ain't nothing like it used to be. Like right there, it sounds like a Bruce Springsteen line. There is a connection that I don't remember. I know I'm going off a tangent again, but there is some connection. Maybe maybe she met him one day or wrote him a letter of appreciation. I'm not sure. She's out of step with the style. She don't know where the action's happening. You know, the downtown club scene ain't nothing like it used to be. That could be from a Bruce Springsteen song. You reach a point where there's not a lie in the world that you could use to make the boys believe you're still in your 20s, but they'll keep getting younger, don't they, baby? She's not waiting for someone to come over and ask for the privilege. She can still hear that rebel yell just as loud as it was in 1983. You know, there ain't no Johnny coming home to share a bed with her, and she doesn't care. I'm not going to repeat the chorus again because it makes me feel weird. It's weird to read lyrics when you hear them as the melodies in your head. No mother ever dreams that her daughter's gonna grow up to be a junkie. No mother. That's what I'm saying. It's one of the best rock songs ever written. This song, I'll stand by that one. Try to sing that. Maybe it's just because I can't sing like that. But there is some connection between Against Me. I know I said I would stop talking, but I know I have to look this up. Against Me and Bruce Springsteen connection. I read this book probably 3 years ago, so it's not in my head anymore. Yeah, well, this is according to Google. I don't know where they're getting this from. The punk rock band is heavily tied to the boss's legacy. Frontwoman Laura Jane Grace has openly cited Springsteen as a major influence on the music, and Bruce himself is a self-proclaimed fan. That's cool. I'm saying that's one of the best rock songs ever. Teenage Anarchist. I'm just going through this Google thing right now. So that's pretty interesting. The legacy of even Bruce Springsteen and punk rock mixing together. There might have been some hardcore fans of Against Me from the Axl Rose album that was like, this is commercial shit. Maybe Butch Vig did that album. If so, Butch Vig might be like the best producer ever because he's done so many great albums, man. New wave producer Against Me. And this will be where I leave off because I don't feel like talking anymore. Yeah, I was right about that. You could tell the way it's produced is like brilliant, man. I think Butch Vig, of course, he did Nirvana. Maybe he did Smashing Pumpkins too. So yeah, I have to think about maybe talking about my favorite producers at some point. That's an avenue of art that I'm completely naked when it comes to production techniques. I think back in the day it was more hidden because people didn't want to give away their tricks of the trade. But nowadays it might be more open. There you go. Yeah, Butch Vig, he might have to take that title of best producer ever. From doing Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins, Sonic Youth, L7, I don't really know them, but he did my favorite album ever, Siamese Dream. So Garbage, I never really got into Garbage. I know he's connected to them, right? Yeah. He was the drummer and co-producer of Garbage, yeah. So that's cool. Maybe I could come up with some kind of a tribute to my favorite albums and talk about the production. But I'm not the right person to do that, to be honest, because I don't know enough about it. But there you go. That's how we're going to end this today. Against Me, thank you for that song. Thank you, Butch Vig, for all these crazy the production value that you put on these albums, even if, like, what was the reason Against Me fans were against that? Against Me fans were against me because why? They were too commercial, too poppy. Like, you can't deny how great that song is, though, or the one with Tegan or Sarah, whatever that's called. That album's pretty perfect, I think. There you go. Everyone's gonna have their own opinion on stuff. Uh, I guess some people were like hardcore Nirvana fans. They're like, Bleach is the best. Butch Vig and Nevermind. It was too corporate, man. Uh, that's not really what. That's not my usual thinking process. I never care about bands selling out or wanting to sound better with better production because they made it. Like, of course, you want to keep improving. I don't think there's anything wrong with any of these paths as an artist. And I'm critical of the fans that are critical of bands that do that. Like, I don't understand it. I know loyal followers of a band, it is like a band of gypsies. You feel this connection to your fan base that supported you in the beginning. They feel like now you're becoming a commercial success and everyone's going to know you. And I don't know. It's a weird psychology to it. But that's all for today. Tomorrow is Sunday. Am I going to talk about anything tomorrow? It's good I got this one out of the way because I don't feel like talking about this too often. I'm not sure if I'm going to talk about stuff tomorrow. Maybe I can pick a song at random and try to do an evolution of a song, or I'll just wait till Monday and do something then. Yeah, so that's where I'll end this. I'll try to keep doing this to an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to see where my stream of consciousness goes. But it's not what I want to be doing right now. It's why I sound frustrated. In the beginning of this talk, I was more angry because I have to bring up the same shit that's still occurring, kind of, where I should be able to get a job, move to the West Coast, and write that next chapter in my life the best way I can do it. whether I can do it solo or work with other people. I'm not sure how this whole music thing's gonna go, man. That's all I can do is just write the songs right now and talk about my vision. And this would all, even though I don't want to be doing this right now, I'd rather be doing other stuff. These will be helpful in the long run when I look back at this. If I ever listen to this again and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to do with that song. That's kind of the bright side of doing something like this. But I'd much rather be just rocking out right now to some loud distortion and really learning electric guitar again, because I haven't played an electric guitar in like 20 years. Everything's been acoustic in my life. Every song I've written has been on acoustic or just stream of consciousness within my head. And yeah, I'd like to get to a point where I can explore more of the heavy distorted guitar, because that's what an album like this calls for. There's a darkness, but it doesn't have to be dark and depressing. The darkness can lead somewhere. That's what I'm putting all my chips on, this is all for something. I'm not trying to get over dramatic, because I don't like the emotional side of topics like that. Everything's for a reason, man. Yeah, some things are for a reason. Some things are just chaos or people fucking with you. So you got to be more cynical in your life as you get older, or you're going to get left behind and starve to death. So if I was more naive and more of a free spirit, I would have just got on a bus a month ago, gone to the West Coast and took that dive into hippy dippy land where I don't have a job, I don't have a place to live, but hey, I'm 44, I could find an artistic community. Yeah, maybe 20 years ago, but not at this point in my life, man. And again, 20 years ago, I wasn't able to do that because I didn't have anything yet. I would have been creating stuff as I had life experiences, I guess. So it's very odd how I set up this project. The last 20 years, I wrote all these songs, wrote these concepts, never thinking I would even share them with people because I needed some hobby or whatever besides gambling and masturbating. I needed to do something else to keep my brain active. But I never thought I would perform them or record them until 2020, when I started getting all these ambitious thoughts of creating my own production company, my own label, or just recording stuff myself, DIY on Bandcamp and sharing stuff like that, which I'm still fine with if I do it like that. But it's a weird path, but hopefully it leads to 20 years of making music and collaborating with other people who have a similar vision and helping other artists eventually, yeah. Helping other artists who, even though it's easier today to go on TikTok or Instagram or wherever else and share your art, it's still very hard to get money for your art, financial viability in an honest fashion that isn't led by fake followers on some social media site. Now you're an influencer. Yeah, there's got to be a balance with that. It shouldn't be a struggle to be an artist. It really shouldn't, because it's a needed thing that people can't live without. You might think you can live without art, but then maybe you're a baseball fan. Baseball is an art form. It is entertainment. It is art. It's a different kind of art, but it's still, football is art. I've had this talk before. So I'll leave it there. This is good because it'll lead me to write more stream of consciousness stuff later for my June essay about, is life just one big stream of consciousness, poem or experience? That's kind of what I'm exploring right now when I'm not doing other things. So that's it. Thanks for listening to this. Hopefully I didn't gross people out with the blood part, but that's a part of this story too. And yeah, tomorrow I might come back with a song I'll try to think of a more funny, happy song to counter some of the darkness of this one. And yeah, thanks for listening.